Welcome back everyone to my channel. It's good to have everyone back in the new year, and I'm looking forward to everything that 2022 is going to bring us. We're continuing on with the history of, and in this episode we're going to talk about the history of the skid steer. This tool, this piece of equipment is one of the most utilized and amazing pieces of machinery that the modern world has. It's small but powerful, it's versatile, it's quick, it can carry and load things, it can move mighty things for how little it is. So let's get started. In 1957, a turkey farmer in Rossway, Minnesota approached Lewis and Cyril Keller and gave them a proposition. He needed a piece of equipment that could move manure and help him around his turkey farm. Now, the Keller brothers were known for their inventiveness and creativity with machinery. The brothers put their heads together and created a 3-wheeled compact loader which you walk behind, but did the job the turkey farmer needed it to do, very effectively. In 1958, Melrose Manufacturing bought the rights from the brothers to manufacture this machine, but the brothers continued with their development with the company. By 1963, the name Bobcat appeared on the first Melrose Manufacturing machine, a name that is still in use today, and still one of the top-selling skid steers in the industry. Known for its innovation, history, and overall backbone in the industry. Many manufacturers purchased the right to produce skid steer over the years, with the likes of Bobcat, Caterpillar, John Deere, Case New Holland, Takeuchi, and many, many more. Originally designed with standard or H pattern controls, the skid steer, or Bobcat as it is referred to throughout the industry, used 2 levers to steer the machine and pedals on the floor to operate the bucket. By pushing both levers forward, the machine moves forward. By pushing the left lever further than the right, you turn to the right, and vice versa, turn to the left. By pulling both levers back, the machine moves backward. The bucket or implement on the front was controlled using your feet. These controls are still used today by many people. Case New Holland, being a leader in the skid steer technology, developed and changed many aspects of the modern skid steer. In 1972, they developed the first vertical lift skid steer. All prior skid steers were what's known as radial lifts. The pivot point on the bucket is at the rear of the machine, and there is only one pivot point. It makes the lift of the bucket in the shape of an arc. In mid-lift, the bucket is furthest away from the machine, and in this position, you can position the machine further away from open trenches and other possible dangers. The problem is, the higher you lift, the closer the bucket gets to the machine again, to the point where the bucket would be directly overhead. This is dangerous on many levels. The vertical lift with several parallel pivot points offered almost vertical lift, much like wheeled loaders. It does have to be closer to open trenches and other obstacles at mid-lift, which can be detrimental. But during the high lifts, placing pallets or loading material onto a transport, it is much more stable and safer for the operator. It all depends on the different needs of the job, really. Case New Holland was also the first to put the foot controls onto the hand controls, thus making the skid steer much more user-friendly and easy to use for the operator. In 1998, Case New Holland introduced another first with ride control, which essentially uses the hydraulic rams on the booms as springs to help smooth out the ride of the machine across the work area. Before this, skid steers could easily get out of control from bounce alone, which left many a load scattered across the ground. In 2003, Case New Holland filed a patent for EH control system, or electro-hydraulic control system, for their skid steers. So what this meant was the ability to control your power, movement, and speed all electronically. You can also use the same port of a hydraulic pump to operate several different implements just by opening or closing circuit. No more adding ports and lines, just switch them at the source electronically. And finally, in 2015, Case again led the way by introducing their Tier 4 certified engines first to the market. Takeuchi is credited for creating the first CTL, or compact track loader, in 1986. It did, however, take another 5 years to be marketed and delivered. Takeuchi is also credited for being the first to use pilot valves, small hydraulic valves to open big hydraulic valves, making it much easier for operators to use the controls, much less work on their wrists and feet. As mentioned earlier though, pilot controls created a problem. They made it very difficult to add implements or attachments that needed more hydraulic line. You always had to add extra ports and feeds to accommodate the additional attachments. And anyone who's been around hydraulics at all will tell you the more connections you have, the more chances for leaks. With Takeuchi being credited to have the first CTL, or compact track loader, Positrack released theirs in 1990 and it was a huge hit. Never before had you been able to use a skid steer in these types of conditions. With their low ground pressure and wide footprint, they were able to move in situations we hadn't yet seen before with skid steer, through various soft ground conditions, across lawns with hardly leaving a footprint. CTLs have not fully replaced skid steers and they never will for various reasons. Skid steers, with their 4 tires, are still much better suited for hard surfaces. They have a smaller footprint and are easier to turn on surfaces like concrete and pavement, and are better used for sweeping all of those surfaces. CTLs, on the other hand, are better for soft ground and grading. The last 7 years have seen the industry explode with innovation. With the advent of EH controls, the attachment segment for skid steers has grown immensely. You can now operate everything from mowers, mulchers, trimmers, and brush cutters to sweepers, post pounders, pole carriers, hammers, blades, graders, snow buckets, and much, much more. Operator friendliness and comfort have also moved right into the forefront. AC, heated seats, and ergonomic controls are just a few of the modern operator comforts. As I mentioned, the ability to adjust your track or tire speed, attachment speed, lift rate, and power are all but a few of the adjustments that can be made. Also with EH, the ability to change different control patterns for different operators. Because there are essentially 3 different styles of controls for skid steers, it's difficult for operators to jump back and forth, being used to one and jump into a machine that has a different control. With the advent of EH controls, you can now switch between standard, ISO, and SAE controls. Standard controls are like I first mentioned. The operator uses 2 sticks. The left stick controls the left side tires, the right stick controls the right side tires. Most modern skid steers with this type of control have the control for your bucket on the sticks themselves, so your feet are never used. But there still are some older machines that you use your feet to run the bucket with. SAE controls, or John Deere controls, are how a lot of the rubber tire backhoes are controlled and are very familiar to those types of operators. ISO controls are the ones that everything on your left hand is for movement and your right hand is for bucket or attachment control. I find those to be the simplest. There are many operators out there, however, that can jump between all 3 quite easily as they're well versed in it. I am not one of those people. Some of the best innovations, as far as I'm concerned, came from JCB in 2015. JCB introduced the side cab, or entrance from the side skid steer with one larger lifting boom. Now, like their much bigger brother, the excavators, you simply enter and exit from the left side of the machine. Not only is this much safer, in the other style models, you enter in the center and climb over the bucket or attachment. If you're broke down, however, and the boom is still in the air, it was almost impossible for the operator to get out. Many doors and windows have also been destroyed by not having them fully latched and lifting the arms of the skid steer. It also makes the machine much easier and much safer for the operator to enter and exit. No more stepping over the attachment, which could be slippery with rain or frost, or have no real steps for foot placement, making it cumbersome and dangerous to climb over. The operator now simply walks to the machine, opens the door, and enters. If for some reason you have to leave the load in the air, say for welding or repair, the operator is no longer trapped in the machine. They can simply exit until it's time to move the machine safely again. In 2016, Caterpillar introduced an industry first rear view camera for skid steers, and it was a very welcome addition in the industry. No more cranking your neck to see what's behind you. In 2017, JCB quickly stepped it up again and offered an extendable boom on their existing side cab single boom machines. Now, not only the convenience of the side-mounted cab and the single boom, you can also extend that boom an additional 2.25 meters or 8 feet in reach. And finally, Covaco has introduced an entirely electric skid steer to the industry. By going electric, you not only reduce emissions, but drop the noise level of a typical work site tremendously. What happens in 2022 and beyond, I can only wait to see. For myself, I'm very excited to see where we go from here. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this history. Crush the like button. We'd love to see you subscribe to this channel so we can keep making videos like this. And I look forward to seeing you on the next one. See you next time.